Hey everyone, it's Friday night, so it's time for your update on what's been going on in the world of tabletop gaming. But before we get stuck into the show, I'm going to remind you that we're giving away that really cool 40K starter set, the Indomitus box. Oh my goodness, it's looking epic. So if you want a chance to win that, get a comment in down below on this video, like this video, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Plus, come on over to OnTableTop.com, get a comment in there too to increase your chances of winning. And when we hit 95,000 subs here on YouTube, we're giving away the really cool Katachan kernel model. So smash that button. Smash it now for your chance to win. If you're enjoying the show, please share it on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, wherever you're hanging around on the internet, because it really helps out. Get the word out to the gamers, right? The weekend starts now. Hey everyone, time to get stuck into the show. This week we've got Jerry, we've got Ben, we've got Warren, we've got myself, of course. I'm Lloyd. Chaps, another week. Another hectic week in tabletop gaming. And another packed show.
Yeah, a couple of announcements we should squeeze in just at the start, Lloydie. There may not be a weekender next weekend. We may have something special next weekend. And that's all we can say. So that's all we can say at this stage. So it won't be that there won't be a weekender. There will be something for you. It may be something special for you. So there. That's so cryptic, man. That's just so cryptic.
It's more cryptic than your cryptic puzzles on the backstage.
Yes. So
I do believe we'll still have stuff to watch though next weekend.
Yes,
Yes, there'll be stuff on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So
something special, but there won't be me. I'm taking a 2-week staycation. So, I've decided what I'm going to do. So you can't really go anywhere on holiday now, okay? But I want to be able to spend some. Normally, this time of year, I head off to a little old caravan out in the middle of nowhere, and I basically spend 2 weeks going to the pool twice a day with the little ones and throwing them all over the place. So I can't do that. So what I've decided to do this year instead is I'm going to throw a stinky old mattress into the back of a van, and we're going to drive to a little secluded beach that I know, okay, and between here and there, try not to get mistaken as some kind of weird serial killer. And then when I get there, I'm going to make my kids sleep in the back of the van as an old camping trip. Man, they're going to hate it. It's going to be great.
I was going to say, it doesn't sound sketchy whatsoever.
Oh, dude, it's going to be so good. It's going to be so good that they'll get crisps for breakfast and cans of pop all the time. Oh, man, it's just going to be, in this day and age when we're all so healthy and everything, I think this will be a great break. So, yeah, if anybody else wants to join me in my serial killer holiday, go grab your van and a shitty old mattress to chuck in the back, and let's create a convoy. But yeah, that's the announcements. That's the announcements done. So Lloydie, what do you reckon? Will we do the important thing now?
No, that's not the announcements done.
Is it not the announcements done?
No, because we've got the Spring Clean Hobby Challenge stuff next weekend as well coming up. So when I'm saying there'll be stuff to watch, I mean there will be stuff to watch. Yes.
So Lloydie's went and told you what the surprise is now. So there you go.
That's not the surprise.
That's not the surprise. You mean there's yet another surprise on top?
There's a surprise.
The surprise,
and then there was the surprise. So
oh wow! All right, okay. So Right. So one of your two surprises has been revealed.
Well, there's
Tune
nothing.
in next week for your other surprise. Right. I would like a surprise right now. Can somebody tell me who the hell is the most important little business on the planet today, this day?
We can, and you know what? I'm actually going to let this one over to Jerry, because
Really?
if anyone buys anything from if anyone buys loads of stuff from this company, it's Jerry. So
Might be me.
it may be you. So yeah, I'll let you dive into this one.
Okay, Jerry, who is this week's Indie of the Week? I can't wait to see which of you guys next week take over that whole,
Or we'll just sample you.
None of us, because we're not having a show next week.
That's true. So this week's Indie of the Week is Footsore Miniatures and Games.
Right.
Your one-stop shop for a huge variety of things, running the spectrum from Jack Sparrow to interwar, very British Civil War type stuff, and ancients and samurai, and there's just so much going on there, and so many various things you can jump into.
So where do you want to start? I know we have an interview as well
have-
coming up later in the show.
Yeah, we have an interview with Footsore Miniatures and Games, joined with Tim Spakowski in the States. So they've got a Footsore US, and they have their own stuff. So myself and Tim talk through a bit about what he has on the site that's different from the UK site currently, and also where he comes from and his sort of way into the hobby. So we've pretty much got full reign on this part. So I think, start at the left and work our way across to the right, because I'm not Oriental. I don't read backwards and up and down.
Sounds good to me. So, yeah, let's get stuck in. I want to see what these guys have.
So, Test of Honor and Warring Clans. Test of Honor, people may know from Warlord Games used to produce it. Now it's Grey for Now Games. I've done the second edition, and this has a mixture of stuff from Grey for Now that Footsore produced for them, but also the Warring Clan range itself comes specifically from Footsore that can be used, but they are more sort of generic. And when I say generic, I mean they don't just have to be used in Test of Honor. You can go nuts. If anybody's a fan of Kurosawa, for example, there's a particularly nice set of 7 Ronin that could be fairly filmatic. But here we see things like the Sohi, which I think we have kicking around our news as well at the moment.
Well, let's find these other ones you've mentioned specifically. So if I go back here.
Go back to there.
These guys here.
Stop. Yes. If anybody at any point in their life has ever looked at the 7 Samurai, they will recognize all of these. The only thing we're missing is the little Yoda head rub, which I really enjoy. But I mean, each of those look like they've been sculpted as a miniature from the film. The down to the poses that they have. They're very characterful, which I just think is an absolutely gorgeous set of miniatures.
Yeah, I think the
iconic movie as well, 7 Samurai.
Yeah. The Warring Clan stuff is absolutely fantastic, because I remember a lot of the kind of stuff dropped sort of last year, most of it, and it had been in the works for quite a while as well. But it's lots of really nice sort of character miniatures and sort of heroes and that kind of thing that you can use to lead your force and that kind of stuff in Test of Honor. And then, as Jerry was saying, there's lots of other games, obviously. So, there's Ronin from Osprey and all that kind of thing too, which would be great for this. But yeah, they don't just do the characters, because obviously you can see here, they do like a lot of the Ashigaru, so the sort of standard troops that you can find in your samurai forces as well, which is cool. So
if you want to play feudal, or if you want to branch into other things.
And the thing about it is, an army, like I know Test of Honor's fairly skirmishy,
Yes.
But I tell you what, an army of this stuff would be beautiful on the tabletop, wouldn't it? With all of the... Is there a special name for the little flags that they wear on their backs?
Sashimono, I think, are the...
Sashimonos.
man-sized ones. They've got a different name if they're the huge banners that are behind units. But yeah, they're a stunning set of figures, and it's one of those things because it's historical. If you get them for Test of Honor, and then if another game is released like Ronin or Clash of Spears, I think are toying with feudal Japan, and Saga have been teasing feudal Japan as well
for years.
They're all very different. They're all very different styles of games and fields of games. So you can get one set of miniatures that you really like the look of, paint them up, and then go, well, I fancy playing a game that's more fantasy-esque, so I'll play Saga, or I want to play one that's more tactical, and then go for Clash, or you could go for the Test of Honor, where you've got that army building and the unique abilities that come in from the cards and Test of Honor as well. So it's you know, it's nice being able to dip in and out of different styles of game, but using the same army. So,
and if you go down this route and you're more into your fantasy side of things, as we've discussed quite a few times, these sorts of feudal Japan armies just scream like drop some sort of giant dragons and things into them just to fantasize them up.
Temple dogs, oni, you know,
onis.
Hopping vampires, although I think they may be slightly more Chinese. But yeah, the range just from there is just awesome.
Hold on, I'll get this.
Look at
here,
that.
look at this show off here.
White tiger.
Check out White Tiger. And as my continued practice with contrast paints and stuff goes forward, every day I paint more stuff, and I come closer to my full realization that yes, I'll never be able to paint this.
Just copy the Joan of Arc dragon that was painted with like 3 colors of contrasts that we showed off. In the XLBS last week.
I am going to do that, but I'm going to do that on this one.
Cheeky.
So, I'm a sucker for dragons, Jerry. I am a sucker for dragons. Can I interrupt and deviate us for a wee second? Yeah?
Wouldn't be like you.
Wouldn't be like me, but I've got a book recommendation for everybody. It's a book that I have been seriously enjoying, okay? So, fantasy games, right? We all love a fantasy game. We all love playing in a Tolkien-esque world, like, or a D&D kind of a world, okay? And a lot of us enjoy role playing and and even tabletop gaming. I discovered a book that you probably didn't know that you needed, but it is actually astoundingly interesting, okay? It's called The Monsters Know What They're Doing, okay? And it's by a chap called, where's his name? Keith Amman, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's called Combat Tactics for Dungeon Masters. So it does reference a lot of kind of 5th edition type stuff in RPGs. But basically what he does is for every monster, he describes their motivations. And
that's kind of cool.
And what they would do and what on how they would likely fight and what would make them fight. And it is really, really interesting. I have the book purely for decoration because I got the audiobook as well. So but in listening to it, it's been great. I particularly enjoyed the chapter on dragons where he was discussing the motivations of dragons and things like that there. So if you're into your monsters, as I am, this is a great book to pick that up or the audiobook and just have a listen because I like creating my own agnostic fantasy armies. And part of that is even just like kind of almost like creating my own little rules and army lists. So I find it really interesting to learn about somebody else's perspective, obviously, but their perspective on how particular monsters and things might act. And
does every article finish with, and the monster's motivation is a bunch of murder hobos walk into their house and start stealing all their stuff?
It should be, Jerry. It should be. And if it had been written by a wizard of the arts like yourself, it would have been very succinct and straight to the point like that. I think poor Keith tries a little bit too hard on that front. So
there's a severe amount of ennui in amongst the goblin community.
Yes. So, but it is a good book. That's my book recommendation of the week.
New segment. Seen it here first.
Yeah. Okay.
First and last time.
Samurai. Yeah, because I don't get a lot of time for these old book malarkeys. So, yeah. So back to it. Definitely looking at this stuff. It's beautiful. Do they do cavalry?
They do cavalry. They do
For the samurai.
A few different types of cavalry. Yeah.
I want to see that.
I haven't found any.
You may find it in amongst the. Well, you'll see some later on. Like I say, with the.
Oh, it's got this guy here.
Yeah.
But if you're looking specifically for the samurai army, oh, here we go. Here. Oh, that's just the same guy.
That's the same dude.
A lot of those mounted guys are from the Grey for Now collection, I believe. Yeah. So, yeah, they're not specifically from Footsore, those ones. But
right. Okay. What's next? Baron's War? Will we have a look at that one?
Can do.
Yeah.
So this is part one of the Baron's War. Second Baron's War Kickstarter finished a couple of weeks ago. So this range is in the middle of expanding considerably. Mm-hmm. But for anybody who's keen on the Baron's War, and also there was a Baron's Crusade where a lot of these people fought in that as well. So they do have Crusade potential beyond that. There's an awful lot of really nice sculpts.
Are these 12th, 13th century then?
13th century. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
so that's late Crusades aspects there then.
Yeah, I can't remember where the Baron's War fits it, or the Baron's Crusade fits in.
Mm-hmm.
Something ridiculous like 9th or something was the Baron's Crusade.
Yeah.
But
are they all
that? They're very nice models for any of that.
Are they all specifically English, or could we paint them up
Yes.
as like Spanish and stuff? Or do
No, you can paint them up as whatever you want. They're specifically made to represent the fighters in the Baron's War, but their accoutrement is decent enough that you'll be able to use it for most of the European.
Yeah, arms and armor didn't particularly change between the different countries in Europe. So,
yeah, this is something that
you do get regional variations where you get little sort of fashion statements.
A little bit of flair here and there. Yeah,
but beyond that, you could use them quite happily for, probably
anybody with money at that point. I believe the Italians were very much a center for armor innovation and armor development. So I would imagine that anybody with enough money to be suiting up in armor could probably very well put their hands on some of the finest armor that was out there anyway. So the more I learn about this particular period in time, the more I realize that it's a very muddly, messy kind of a thing, and it's not clear cut. The national armies and things like that are not in the same kind of way as we understand them today. There's a lot more of a mix and a mash of the whole thing, because bear in mind we were by 12th century, we were still basically French in England at that point. So we were.
Yes.
But we were. When William the Conqueror came over, he basically he turned us into frogs. So we were.
That's
all...
where you get Great Britain from. It's simply Britain is bigger, or Britain and Brittany. Mm-hmm. And how do you distinguish between them? Well, Great Britain is slightly larger geographically than Brittany. That's how you tell them apart. That's what the Great and Great Britain means. It's down to landmass. Mm-hmm. So
the only way you could tell us from the French is we're maybe slightly more polite. Smidgen, maybe.
I wouldn't have thought so.
Probably not. But yeah, so it's basically the entire period is about the French going to war with themselves, even when they didn't realize it was themselves.
It's slightly different from just pre the conquest, when that was just the Vikings fighting with themselves.
And didn't realize they were just fighting themselves. Welcome to Warren's History 101. I never watched it.
The Baron's War. Can we smush this in with the what was the other company we looked at recently?
Claymore.
Claymore
yeah.
castings.
Yes.
Can we smush
It
these
can
together?
work perfectly well with that. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Claymore mixed in with that would be a match made in heaven.
Mhm.
Jerry, are these metal minis?
Yeah. These
Oh,
all
They
metal.
are all metal, yeah.
Now,
Oh,
they
I'm
do
impressed.
some resin, which are separate and distinct. So that it'll be the same, because obviously they make the master molds out
Yeah.
of resin to get the detail, and then they generally sell a small amount. So if you're after a very specific hero, for example, and they've got it in resin, then you can pick it up that way. But the standard is generally metal across the board. But they
Cool.
are beautiful. Very good for Saga, for example.
I'm
Yeah.
just sitting thinking,
Or Lion Rampant.
yeah, or an agnostic fantasy army once again. I'm thinking through all the agnostic fantasy armies I have and I'm building at the moment, and I don't think I have a kind of like a Bretonian kind of man type army. This could well be the way to get that.
Mhm.
But it's
Especially if you want to paint stripy horse curtains.
if you want to paint stripes. that's the bit that gets me with some of this is I could never
But they do,
to look as
As-
beautiful as that.
as Lloyd was showing there as he was scrolling through, they do transfers.
Yeah,
for
there's
the horse
whole
Or the
stacks.
horse
So-
curtains.
So
yeah.
you can literally just go, I want that, therefore give me that transfer sheet, and snip.
And who's
there you
making
go.
them? Are they Little Big Man?
No, I think they're Flags of War, I think.
I
Although
don't-
I haven't
Is-
paid attention.
I see ones for flags. Is there ones here that fit the horses, or what's the?
Yeah, as far as I know, they did them because I seen them on the Kickstarter. Although I haven't, like I say, I haven't been through because I'm trying to stay away from this range until I finish something.
Well, we'll have to reach out to them. But if they do them for the horse, there's a name for them horse blankets. What are they called?
Comparison.
Comparison. Yeah,
There you go.
Horse curtains works.
horse curtain is fine.
Moving on, they've also got Mortal Gods. Which
Yeah.
is cool
Okay.
as well.
Let's get
So-
a look at that.
That's your sort of ancient Greek range, and it's also a game of their own creation as well. So
Mhm.
they're the ones it's one we've looked at before, obviously. It's got the kind of like vibe of Athenians versus Spartans and all that kind of thing, but they've developed it over the years, well, months and years, sort of taking in things like Persians and Kushites as well, which is pretty awesome too.
Essentially,
And-
this sort of started. Sorry, Ben. This sort of started as Test of Honor 2.0-ish.
Yes.
So it
yeah.
has a lot in common with the mechanics of it.
I was going to say as well, if you're thinking about the idea of bringing in fantasy mythical creatures, they should also very soon be adding the mythic range to the website as well. So that's Minotaurs, Gorgons, and that kind of thing as well. So.
And so this particular rule set works off little dioramas as well. And Jerry, by the looks of it, yeah.
Yeah. So you've got essentially 3-man bases, so you can take casualties from them. But what they've done is, depending on the unit, you'll either get the round 3-man base like you have in Test of Honor, or you have these triangular ones, which allows them to tessellate, so they can be spread out. Or if you decide to rank them up into a phalanx style shield wall, then you tessellate the bases and stick them together, and you get that line of troops with facings and flanks. And
That's really cool.
yeah, it's
That's
a
nice.
genius little touch.
That is nice. I like that.
Let's have a look at some of the heroes and stuff.
Yeah, and a lot of this was sculpted by a Greek sculptor as well. So he got very keen on it. I think we brought him in originally I think he came in originally to do Gangs of Rome stuff, and then it was like, we're gonna expand into Greeks. I was like, yes, definitely, I will do the Greeks.
I will do the Greeks. So do they have like a Spartan army deal?
They do. They have a Spartan and Athenian, because that's the sort of the core sets that started.
Right, so let's see. Box deals.
So
There's
Spartan.
Yep.
Yeah. So what's in that?
Let me just close all these out tabs. So here's a Spartan one. So
have you
all
been
of
to the-
this.
The minis. Yeah.
So this uses Victrix, so they're to get your bulk
Uh-huh.
forces at a
Mhm.
reasonable price. To use the Victrix plastics, and then you can add in metal commanders, or if you want everything to be unique, you can go fully metal, although your price obviously will increase. So we've got
Oh,
what looks like
shields are
hoplites and
beautiful, aren't they?
peltasts there.
Yeah, I think this is the one we looked at.
Ah, you see,
There you
that's
go.
what-
There's the iconic
that-
shields and stuff.
That's the
So,
ones that I'm after.
yeah.
Is that? Yeah.
You mainly get the sort of uniqueness to the force in some of those, like the metal stuff, and and in the addition of the shields and also the characters themselves, because the characters are more themed around the idea of how they would have looked and that kind of thing, rather than the units themselves. So it's very cool.
Yeah. So you have a couple of Spartan heroes there.
Because like, if you're going to do Greek war, you want to go to the specialists of Greek.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
The Athenians, best Greek force ever.
Ah,
Saw those
think about that.
Spartans.
Nah.
Possibly a good navy, but that got kicked out of them at the end as well.
Mhm.
No, Spartans
No,
all the way.
you know, the Spartans, you know, they lived and breathed warfare. You know, it's masters of their art, and their art was destruction.
No, their art was like twisting people politically and not really fighting at all.
Until the point they run into Thebe.
They was pretending to be good. They just scared everybody by saying they were good.
That's
To
that's
be fair,
a Conor McGregor tactic there, Lloyd.
To be fair, they did back that up by winning pretty much every time they fought. So, you know, that you can scare an awful lot of people by actually being able to carry out your threats.
But if we put that aside, that bit.
That is
It
lovely
took-
stuff. Right. No, there's a section that I'm super excited about now, okay?
Is it
I
the
know
gangs
it's
of
been
Rome?
out for a little while, but Bethany Hughes has been spending time with me in the evenings, bringing me up to speed and all of this. I've got a proper boner for Romans now, Jerry. I mean, I'm starting to actually understand Romans. If you talk to me today about Kingdom, Republic, Imperial, I may actually know what you're talking about now.
Awesome.
I'm proper hard for see that whole period between the Republic and the Imperial.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so good.
Well, you'd be
So
happy
good.
to know that gangs is more or less in that point then. So,
that period, right?
Mhm.
I got spoiled. I grew up in England, okay? And as we know, England has a lot of Roman kind of stuff in it, right? So I grew up in a place called Preston, where we have the River Ribble. And the River Ribble, they found Roman artifacts and stuff in it. And they had a little tiny Roman museum, okay? And it was, hand on heart, the shittest place in the world. Right? Nothing could have put you off Romans more than going to the River Ribble Roman Museum, where it was shite beyond belief.
Yeah.
Okay? So that kind of killed Romans for me. Okay?
You weren't getting to see the beautiful things in Bath or Vindolanda excavation. You were getting to see a riverbank and then little pictures of 3 coins that were found there in the 70s.
It took the incredible Nigella-like talents of Bethany Hughes to finally unleash the genetic exuberance that lies within me for the Romans. That and the Rome TV series is pretty darn good as well for getting the old blood going. And I'm a huge fan of Julius Caesar now.
You hit the point where Bethany's exploring the Bacchus cults.
Oh no, not yet.
No,
okay.
There's much good.
Yeah, I even admitted to my wife that I'm having a little TV, well, not quite an affair, but a liaison of a TV crush at the moment. But I did explain to her, look, I'm allowed 2 TV crushes at a time, but both posts are filled. Bethany Hughes fills one, and Henry Cavill fills the other one. So it's like
makes sense.
So my TV crushes are completely filled at the moment. However, I think Julius Caesar is an amazing dude. Like, I mean, what he achieved, dictators forever will be looking up to that man. He
He was truly, I was going to say appalling, but talented.
He was
Absolutely
talented.
fun, yeah.
He was talented.
Because he should not have got away with anything he did at any time. Yeah, he knew how to play the system perfectly.
I'm kind of picturing The Apprentice now with Julian Caesar in charge.
It's him. Really, as I think Duke Nukem probably put it best. He is balls of steel. What to be a general. So basically, having started watching the Rome TV series, okay, Gangs of Rome just totally appeals to me because I can totally see
everything that's going
the different
on
factions and stuff like that, quarrying with one another, to try and establish their foothold over taking over. Because it really was split right down the middle, Rome, during that period with Julius Caesar.
And there were some parts which would make sense in a Gangs of Rome style game. So, for example, the idea behind Gangs of Rome is you play the leader of a house who wants to get political office.
Well,
and
can we have a look at it as well?
Let's actually get something on screen.
So the idea is your gang is there to manipulate and to try and put down, suppress your opponents who are all domini of various houses. And when Caesar essentially won against Pompey, it's because he organized mobs to take to the streets so that the loyalists for Pompey couldn't get out to vote in the Senate, therefore swinging the amount of people in the Senate towards Caesar. And this is what Gangs of Rome is all about. You're out there doing various nefarious things to support your house leader in his quest for senatorship. And it's a intriguing little thing because there's various ways things tie together in Gangs of Rome. So when you buy a miniature, you get a random card, and that card will be their name, their stats, their abilities, their house, or not the house, the god that they're aligned to, and then the area they come from. And they're
which ones? Is it these ones or these ones?
Yeah, no, all of these. These are both random, but this part here would be okay. So you've got your stamina, your agility, your defense, your fight, and the amount they cost. At the bottom, you've got like their skills. The story is a little bit of fluff about them, but the fact that you've got a green Medusa head there tells you it comes from this specific part of Rome. So it doesn't matter what way you build your gang can be from any or all or a mix. If you focus for the bonuses for being from a specific place, then you've got less it's like inbreeding. If you don't go outside your genetic gene pool, yes, you're very good at one thing, but it's not necessarily going to help you so much. So you like a bit of variety in your gangs. On top of this, they also have the sort of the Rome's Most Wanted. So you've got the Sons of Orco, who are like a little nefarious group of their own, the children of Eponema. There are 4 new ones, I think, coming, and each of these come with a specific scenario and then a little thing to go with them. So you can build up various gangs in different ways. On top of that, you also have the denizens of Rome, and that is what sets this apart from a lot of other games for me. So if you keep scrolling, because these are all just, it doesn't matter which, you can essentially just pick a model that you'd like and go, I like that model and I'm going to use these stats for them. And there's an awful lot of options on how you build your gang anyway. But you're looking for the mob. Here we go. So these are your little domini. So these are your house leaders to represent you. And then below these, we start hitting some of the people who actually wander about the streets of Rome. So you can have things like the orator, the Iberian, he's a retired gladiator. You've got a baboon wielding pirate.
There we go. There's some gangs down there as well.
Yeah.
So, the mobs.
So before you hit the mobs, all of these single figures are specific denizens who you can put on the tabletop and you can play scenarios, or they can just be sort of hanging around. So the scorpion thrower is literally just that. Some guy who hates people chuck scorpions. You get a Gallic, there's a temple. There's a Gallic temple guard who will just wing tiles at people's heads if they get too close. And these have nothing to do with the game you're playing. But if you put the temple under construction scenery on the tabletop, and then happen to be trying to fight with another gang and get too close to him, you'll get hit in the back of the head with a big bit of clay tile.
Which one's he?
I think he actually comes with the
well, I have the
temple
scorpion
itself. But yeah, the scorpion guy, and you can see he has just got a basket full of scorpions that he leashes at people.
Yeah.
Not all of them are bad. Not all of them are good. Some of them are capricious. There is a backstreet doctor, and you can go to him in game when you're wounded, and that's him there actually. Yeah, the backstreet healer, and you roll, and you could get health back, which is important because as your health drops, the amount of fighting you can do in the distance you move also drops. But alternatively, he may botch the job, and you can
I don't like this. He's like beckoning you with this bloody shears behind his
Yeah,
back.
pair of shears. No, it's fine. We're all fine here.
There's the butcher as well that was next to him, and he's the guy he sells mysterious meat at his shop. So it could be you if you accidentally got dragged down a back alley by him.
But he's quite clearly got a hog's head there, so I trust him that whatever's in that stew is indeed pork.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure it's all pork. Yeah.
So
I ate in a fancy restaurant in Bucharest one time. It was a fancy Chinese restaurant, and on the menu, it had like Chinese, then Romanian, and then the English translation. And the English translation was feline of mysterious flavor.
Nice.
I don't know if that was meant to be a fillet of mysterious flavor or whatever. But
I think they just had it out there in the open.
Yes.
Nobody can come back to it and argue with them.
Is this the same one with the shit carp? What was it?
No, it was a deep fried crap.
That's it.
For a carp. So it was a fried crap.
In the days before spell check.
I was just going to say as well, we had a look there at that sort of range of Gangs of Rome, but if you go back to their main web page, which should be the first one.
Yeah.
And Scott, we can have a look at the mobs actually first before we do this, but I'll bring you onto that in a second.
Back to the mobs.
Yeah, so the mobs are running around as you're fighting a gang. So the gangs fight, the mobs are separate, and basically these mobs could suddenly all end up ganging up on you and beating the crap out of you. Yeah,
you can stampede them through. So there are various weapons that are discreet, so you can walk past somebody and just slash them and nobody notices. But at other times you can be very, very overt, stab somebody up, and the mob may decide they're a friend and riot and mob you to death, or you can stampede them. So if you're quite strategic, you can actually get behind them and deliberately do it and then trample enemy fighters with the mob. You can also hide yourself in the mob as long as you've got, like, if you're carrying a spear, they'll know it's you. You have to discard the spear. But if you've got a small hand weapon, if you've got something that can be hidden, you can run into one mob, disappear, and then reappear out of another mob. So if you think the mobs aren't just individual scattered groups, the mobs are just dense collections. So the entire streets of Rome are always filled, and these mob bases on the tabletop represent sort of concentrations, and going into one mob and then coming out of another mob later on to attack somebody is just really nice as well. And they've got an awful lot of character in these, be it just regular people wandering the streets or slaves or
innovative rule set, isn't it?
Look, Lloyd, there's quite a lot of Rome.
Yeah, they're really nice buildings, but we don't need to talk anything about those in case Jerry wants his built and painted.
I tell you what mine built. You see the one where it says the complete Rome bundle?
Yes.
That's what I have plus additional. I just went, I want all of that. Thank you very much. So,
it's so good.
Yeah, I went a bit mad on.
Go to the complete Rome bundle, Lloyd. Just up above it there. Do we see? No, not that one. No, it's above it.
It's the one above. Yeah,
it's that one.
Is it.
So that's the complete. So that's the one you'll be building, Lloyd. Yeah.
Don't worry. I also have additional parts and Colosseum as well, just to add.
And the Colosseum. Right. Okay. Yeah. So because we wouldn't want Lloyd to run out of stuff to do.
Colosseum's very nice.
So, tell you what, Justin can build it because
that's that little amphitheater thing there. Yeah.
I was going to say, tell you what, Justin can build it because he loves working with MDF and HDF, and then Lloyd can paint it. There we go.
Nice. Yeah. A collaboration.
That's it. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I like it.
It's not happening. I painted Jerry Sheep. That's enough.
Right. What else have we got to look up?
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you go back to the main page before, obviously I sort of glazed over the mobs, but if you go back to their main website and just scroll down, you should see all the different sort of ranges that they do. So as well as doing all the game-based stuff for like Mortal Gods and that kind of thing as well, they also do, and this was the main reason that I fell in love with Footsore Miniatures back in the day, is all their Dark Age stuff. So they have Vikings, Saxons, both early and late, Goths, late Romans for a little bit of Arthurian stuff as well, Dark Age Irish, which is also a massive big one that they've been working on recently as well. But yeah, it's a absolutely astonishingly huge range with that stuff. So.
Do you know, until you said to scroll down there, I completely forgot they did the Dark Age stuff.
That's their big thing.
But it's not only that, I own it all as well. Scroll down and there's the Dark Age. You're going, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, they do Dark Age. Yeah, that is something they are renowned for. Yeah,
because an absolute stack of it too.
Yeah, I literally own everything they do for the Dark Ages in multiples, far beyond anything I need.
When I was diving into doing Saga in the first edition, I started off picking up some of the Wargames factory at the time plastics, and they weren't very good. So I then moved on and bought the Gripping Beast ones. But then as soon as I finished that, I saw this collection and was like, well, now I need to collect my entire collection again, but in metal. I do believe I've got some of the Footsore like metal berserkers and stuff that had their todger out and that kind of thing, which is cool.
The berserkers they do are absolutely gorgeous.
They are very cool.
They don't have their todgers out. You're thinking like picks and stuff. There's a set of four. There's a set of 4 berserkers, which for Saga is perfect, and each one is individual. And even though they're berserkers, they don't work on the principle they're naked. There's like one's got a spear through him and he's holding on to the end of it.
Yeah, that's different. Oh, that's it.
Oh, yeah, there's some of the newer ones that they've done. Yeah.
And I simply because the berserkers doesn't mean they necessarily have to be naked. Although,
it does in my book, all right? No.
You're such a purist, Ben.
I know,
You're a naturist. That is true, yes, they do.
Right, guys, well worth a visit. Remember, a little bit later in the show, we're going to be talking to Footsore US, which is the US counterpart to these guys. So stay tuned for that. Right, go and check it out, footsoreminiatures.co.uk. Next up, Ben's going to lead us on a journey through sight and sound. It's time for his news. Coming to you from the center of Northwestern Europe. Covering board games, war games, card games, and all that you love. It's the news.
Right, so the first big bit of news for this week comes from the guys at Games Workshop. Some people may have seen some things on the internet, but they have decided to step in and release the full PDF for the new core rules for 9th edition Warhammer 40,000 onto the Warhammer community website. The new core rules are available in a whole host of different languages, as you'll see as you scroll slightly further down there, Lloyd. As you can see, ding, every language you could probably think of, more or less, apart from Arabic, maybe. But yeah, as well as that, they've also shown us a couple of new miniatures in preview form. So there's the Hammerfall bunker that was also part of something else that happened on the internet this week.
You can say there was a leak.
I know. I'm trying to be cool about it. All right, Jesus.
People don't like coy, Ben. They just
there's no mystery in this business anymore.
All this shit leaked like a leaky bucket, man.
Yes, it did. And there's also this Convergence of Dominion, which is something that didn't leak actually. And this is like a big new terrain piece for the Necrons as well. I'm sure these will be absolutely fantastic for those people that want to dive in and play around with some.
Does this transform during the game, or why is it in 3 different states?
Who knows?
Who knows, Lloydie?
Who knows?
It's entirely possible they were just plastered over the top of that.
Yeah. I think it is 3 different things. But then the Hammerfall bunker, I mean, I don't particularly like it. It looks like something out of StarCraft, though.
Yeah. Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the kind of stuff that you would have dropped in Dawn of War, Lloyd.
It's very Dawn of War.
It's like one of those bunkers, towers.
Drop that in.
Something strange just happened in my brain. Because
do you now like it?
Yes. I had in that split second of then suddenly being able to place it against something like Dawn of War. I then started to think, oh well, actually, Yeah, it makes sense to me now.
It kind of, I get where you're coming from, because I was looking at it going, that's a minger.
Yes.
And then you said that, and then you've said what you've just said, and I'm like, gonna look at it and go, yeah, I can see what you mean, actually.
Yeah. Because it brings back fond memories of watching Lloyd play
till 3 o'clock in the morning.
3 o'clock in the morning.
I got to tell this story. I loved playing Dawn of War. I absolutely loved it, right? But the Dark Eldar or the Eldar or whatever could put themselves like in invisible buildings. And I've been out in the Raz with a mate, and we'd come back. It was like already like 1 o'clock in the morning. We're like, Dawn of War, drunk off our tits, right?
Bastard, yeah.
He comes in storming at 5:30 in the morning going, what have you been doing? I've been in there for 3 hours trying to find their enemy base, and I found it inside your base. I was lying passed out for like 2 hours. And they built their base in my base, and it spent hours
All
trying
your
to
base
find
belong
them.
to them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, definitely the big weekend for the 40K players.
Yes.
I haven't had a chance to go through the rules in much depth yet. I will say a couple of the previews for the rules made my blood run cold, because I was reading the some of the rules about terrain, and I didn't understand a word of it. I was like, what? And I read it about 6 times, and I was still going, I don't understand any of this of what it's trying to say. So I've got this
In here.
trepidation. Well, it was a cutout. It was like a cutout box that the Warhammer community released, and it was specifically talking about models and their use of terrain. And it may as well have been written in Swahili.
I think we need to bring Justin back in at a future point to talk about this, maybe.
No, definitely not. I have no. Look, I'm going to read this. Okay, I've got 2 weeks off now. 2 weeks should be enough to get my head around this, right?
It's only 25 pages.
Well, yeah, well, it's not even like, because like it's 23 pages before you hit missions.
Yeah. So if I can get my head around this, most gamers should be able to get their head around this. And I will know pretty quickly of whether it's crept up into the enjoyable zone. Okay. Because 40K is a rule set just because of its very nature. It has some aspects to the game that just don't sit particularly well with me compared to other games that are out there. So it always kind of hovers at that point, you know. So we'll see where it gets to on the scale. But certainly I'm doing it with some trepidation, because some of what I've read so far.
It'd be interesting to see if they've put the social distancing rules into it.
Yep, all Space Marines at least 6 inches apart.
Very good, Caesar. Very good.
But previously, it only ever applied to the Sanguinus. You always wanted to stay at least 6 inches away from the Sanguinus. So, right, what's next, dude?
So next up, we also got some news from the realm of Age of Sigmar and the Mortal Realms, and that was that the new General's Handbook goes up for pre-order tomorrow at this point. Yep. So it goes up on Saturday morning. This is a new sort of redux of the sort of ways and means for you to play both open, narrative, and matched play games. Inside here, you'll find a whole bunch of new scenarios and things for all of those different 3 styles of play. For the slightly more open style stuff, they've included some new rules from doing like almost like a flyer dogfighting style scenarios. So if you want to pick up things like winged characters, big monsters, that kind of things, you can play the Sky Battle rules, as you can see there in the contents page. As well as that, they've got a whole bunch of new stuff in there for narrative. So there's some battle plans specifically designed around certain moments within the Age of Sigmar sort of mythos and the history. You've also then, of course, got the battle plans, which are there for those people that want to play points-based play.
What's that? Cool. This stuff here you're talking about?
So this is the new sort of alliance matrix that they've done. You may remember this from past rule books for Warhammer Fantasy and that kind of thing.
Epileptic trying to read that. Is that the best way they could choose to show that?
Yeah,
but it looks like an 8-bit game.
Yeah, but the reason that they've put this together, it does
Spectrum.
It looks like Dwarf Fortress to me, but yeah. But the reason they put this together is that they want to try and make it so that they're trying to tell you that within the mortal realms, there's a lot of like flux between the different factions. So, you know, the the Fire Slayers don't necessarily always fight for the good guys. They'll fight for whoever gives them the Urgold they want and that kind of thing. So there's lots of ways to mix together your alliance and have forces of like the undead and, you know, the forces of order working together and that kind of thing if you want as well. The coolest thing about this book, however, is something that was brought up in the video it's in the link down below in the show notes. But that video
let's see.
talks about the new rules. It's towards the end, but the rules for making your own characters in Age of Sigmar. So it comes with a full sort of like host and sort of suite of rules for you to actually make your own elf Duardin Stormcast leader that you can use in your games. So it gives you all the ways to stat them up and all that kind of thing as well, which is really, there you go. That's there you go. That's the Anvil of Heroes, which is really awesome.
Sweet. Let's get another look at that.
So yeah, as you can see, it allows you to, you know, build up your own character the way that you want to play them, and then use them in an actual points-based way in all your different kinds of way of playing the game, which is really awesome, I think. And it means that people will actually start to dive into things like their bits box and that kind of thing, and bash together some really interesting ideas for the way that they want to have someone leading their army.
That is sweet.
So, yeah, that's really
cool. And this will be available to pre-order at store.ontabletop.com tomorrow morning.
If Ryan doesn't put a little ding or like around your eye or something, then
you know, I got a plug. Buy merch, guys. Buy merch. That actually is a really cool book. That's much cooler than I was expecting. I really like that ability to build your own character. I think that Age of Sigmar players they're a very creative bunch. So I'm sure that's going to be put to really good use. I'm pleased to see that. Yes. Very pleased to see that. Right. I've got some ships to show you.
Yes.
Would you check out these ships? This is some good ship right here. So we've got
Jerry nearly turned himself into a pirate there at the same time, which is
so Sarissa Precision. I've got some fantasy / kind of historical ships. So check these out, right?
Choo-choo.
So you got a little elven boat. That's the one that Bilbo and Frodo off to elf heaven in. So
no, it's the ones that they all buggered off to in the mass exodus, and then she decided, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna stay and get old or something. Oh no, I'm gonna stay with my old man.
I really want you to narrate to me what you think happened in Lord of the Rings in a one-off episode at some point, because that is not right at all.
That's not right at all.
Could that be our secret next week?
There was a bunch of little men who found a little ring, who had to return the little ring to a big volcano, while lots of nasty things chased them on the way to the volcano, and a big spider tried to eat one. The elves decided, we've had enough of this. We're the heck out of here. This is crap. This place is going to heck. So they got on lots of boats and they floated off into the sunset. Yeah. And one of them decided, no, I'm going to stay with the old guy. Well, he's not old yet, but he will be old in the future.
Yeah.
And I'm going to stay here because I don't really mind if he gets old.
Yeah.
That's it.
I don't know if she ever got old, but she might have got old.
Well, she's probably got slightly old.
No, I think
she got older than she would have, and she f***ed off to elf heaven with the rest of the elves.
That's it. That's Lord of the Rings.
Frodo. And Bilbo and Frodo. I don't know why Frodo went. I suspect Bilbo blackmailed him into going along. And Bilbo was in no state to be going anywhere by that stage. But the elves kidnapped him. Or Gandalf. Was he Gandalf the slightly cream by that stage? So I don't know.
He was Gandalf the need to clip his toenails stage.
Yes.
I'm confused. Did Bilbo who went where?
Yes.
God, Ted, I'm going mad.
I can't hear you, Ben, if you're complaining. There's something wrong with your mic.
I muted myself to stop myself from screaming. So, right.
I think that pretty much covers it from a lore perspective.
I guess we're going to have to do it.
Inaccuracies in there, but mostly
I think you're spot on there.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. If we did a Let's Watch, that would be it, wouldn't it?
Pretty much.
That would be it.
Yep.
But anyway, this leads us on to two historical boats from Sarissa as well. So as well as the sort of elf boat that they've done there, they've got the Arab dhow, which is very cool. And then the other boat, I'm going to let Jerry talk about because it looks pretty badass. So yeah.
I like the Dow. The Dow's kind of
Dow's great. Dow's great because you can run it from ancients all the way up to moderns. That's how long Dows have been built. They're still operating to this day. So that's a bargain. You should buy one of those because you're definitely going to get use out of it no matter what you play.
So they're somewhat similar to the junk.
The junk, yeah.
Yep.
In so much as it's been around forever.
Yeah.
They floated around during the Crusades.
Yeah.
Probably long before.
They don't know exactly when, but they're ballparking it between 600 BC and 600 AD. They were first floated around the Med, but they're still going to this day. So regardless, even if you take the later date of 600 AD, you've still got 1,300 years to play with. I choose to go earlier.
If the guys at Sarissa did a junk, it'd be great for all that Japanesey stuff and Chinesey stuff.
They're probably not far off it. Did the
Japanese use junks? I know the Chinese did, but can you use the Japanese for like the samurai and stuff, or for a junk?
They had something similar, certainly. Because
the Japanese had those amazing castle ships, like fortress ships, which were absolutely huge as well, which were really cool.
I think that was the Chinese.
That was Chinese.
Was that Chinese?
Yeah.
I thought it was the Japanese. I thought they were in
bigger
samurai.
than an aircraft carrier type of thing with a castle on top.
Were they not in Shogun Total War that the Japanese used as well? Or maybe I'm getting confused.
The Japanese used something similar because they did invade quite a lot of places as well. Why not? Okay. We've got boats. Well, you've got an island.
You've got me curious now, right? What is this last magnificent ship that Jerry's going to tell me about?
Dun, dun, dun.
It's a Roman galley. So for all of you who fancy taking to the Med and crashing into other people.
That's an odd looking thing, isn't it?
It's delightful. Look at your two banks of oars there in case you need to get ramming speed up for that gorgeous prow, which you won't be able to see because it'll be below the waterline.
Why has it got two little castles on it? Did they really build stone onto a boat?
It's a fortress ship.
It's fortress. You have little castles on it, so you can put archers on there and row alongside people. And then
why did they not make it out of wood?
Wood burns.
Yeah, but the rest of it's made out of wood.
Yeah, but it's closer to the waterline. If you're going to be behind protection, you want as much protection as possible. I have a sneaking suspicion they probably built them out of wood as well, but
and they just painted them to look like stone.
No. You had both materials were used at different times.
Okay. This would be the sort of ship then that they had.
I would be the most cunning Roman that ever existed because I'd make it out of wood, but we would paint it.
They had battles similar to Vikings in that fashion that took place completely on ships, from ship to ship fighting.
Well,
and the whole battle.
That big thing at the front, the big wooden upright just above the eye, is a corvus. It's essentially a boarding plank. It had a big spike on it. It pivoted round, slammed down, and then would pin you to the other boat. And then you would just run across. You'd send your Roman legionaries over the top while the other people couldn't get away because the other people may be better at shippery, but the Roman army invading your ship would do you up like a kipper. Then they just run on board, kill everybody to death, and then off they go.
Look back here.
A gaming table, Jerry, with one or two of these and one or
in
two
a harbour,
all kind of
leading into Rome,
broken into one another. And then the Romans versus who would the Romans have fought in this? Because they fought the Greeks and all sorts of people.
Everybody they could. That's generally what they did. Yeah. I'm not sure when this would come in because weirdly Rome was terrible. Their navy was shocking.
You don't hear an awful lot about Roman naval.
Because generally it was garbage, and then they actually captured some Carthaginian ships, which were much better because they came from the Phoenicians, and the Phoenicians were traders and ocean going, and they had very, very, very good boats, but they built their boats to like a kit, and they brought some back to Rome once they captured them and retrofitted them, and then went, they're really simple to make, so we'll just make all of our boats like the Carthaginian boats, and then mass produced them and went out and hammered Carthage at their own game. So
that's right. That's what they did.
What did you call that pokey stick thing at the front again?
Corvus.
Funny that.
So, yeah.
Look at this bit. I love this bit. Do you drive this boat like a tank commander, pulling one lever and then the other?
That's where
Yeah.
Julius Caesar sat. Oh,
You'd sit at the back
Same.
and that's
Engage and make it so.
the I'm trying to remember the name of the steering bit at the back. It would
The
go
rudder.
to what? Yeah.
the
Your
outboard.
rudder. Yeah, your outboard. You pull the outboard out and then just sit there and go away.
I know exactly what to do now, right? My newfound her Roman expertise allows me to give you the perfect scenario for this. That's Julius Caesar's boat, right?
He was captured on.
Yeah, he's captain, okay, and he's engaging with the Egyptians. So they're in an Egyptian harbor, and then he'll use his corvus on Cleopatra.
Could work. There's a better boat to put Julius on, though. Julius was captured by pirates.
No.
And they were going to ransom him back. Oh, yeah. I think before he became Caesar, when he was still just, a noble, and they were going to ransom him back, and he went, that's not enough. Ask for more. And so they asked for more, got it, sent him home, and then he immediately returned and did all of the pirates who captured him.
And inherited all the money.
So it was basically a case of, look, right, you've caught me. If you're going to ransom me, now, don't embarrass me here, boys.
Yeah, it was very much, you're asking for too little. Don't you know who I am? I'm fantastic.
That's embarrassing. Get back on that phone and tell him you want more, okay?
Get me another child to send this message.
And then he started going on about his special skills and how he would find them.
Yes.
Yeah, very much. Very much.
And he did find them. And he
really
pocketed the money and told nobody.
I think he told everybody whenever he got back. It's like, remember those pirates you had to pay the ransom to? Yeah.
No, I did them in, but they'd spent all the money. There was no money left.
Right. What's next, Ben?
So next up, we've got some new resin pieces for terrain by the guys at Cromlech. So people will know that recently they released their Frostgrave official terrain range, which is a bunch of HDF terrain for you to use in your games.
Beautiful looking stuff.
But then this stuff is the kind of things that you could add into the mix for objectives, but more importantly, as a little bit of set dressing and that kind of thing. Because terrain looks great when it's painted, but you want to make it look lived in as well as it being functional. And so things like this, so you've got the chests here, which are obviously good for things like objectives and that kind of things when you're playing your games. But as you look further down into what they've released recently, they've also got things like magical books and tomes, quills and all that kind of thing as well. They've got stuff for taverns and marketplaces and all that kind of stuff too. This is the kind of stuff that I would love to put in sort of like dungeon delving games and that kind of thing as well, because you could actually make up full-on puzzles using some of those little tiny books. You could put them on there, and because of the different symbols on top of the books and things, you could do some kind of weird riddle or quiz that they need to solve and that kind of thing. Shove these onto bookcases. Don't glue them down so you can move them around and people can be tactile with them and all that kind of thing.
Sausage and eggs.
With the tavern feast, for example, the thing I postulated in the news story was how cool would it be if this was all laid out in the tavern when your heroes enter it, and so when the fighter starts going at it and trying to beat people up, he actually started whacking people around the face with a fish, or like hitting them on the head with a frying pan full of eggs and all that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Because when people see this kind of stuff on the tabletop, they start to try and interact with it and use it, which I think is really cool. And so this kind of stuff which tells a story is the way to go. So.
This is obviously a very hipster tavern, though, because everything's being served on a chopping board.
There's no slate, though. So, yeah.
But this is exactly why you need someone like me in your party, because I would effectively hand you a clean frying pan. You wouldn't have to worry about the eggs and the sausage. I would. When the ham on the bone, I would give you the bone. Leave it to me. These are great.
Yeah,
these are lovely.
Yeah, so as I say, they've worked on quite a nice selection of stuff here that could be used, not just in fantasy games, it could be used in a lot of historical stuff as well. Say you're putting together a big medieval market, maybe you've got some of the big, amazing medieval buildings from the likes of Tabletop World or something. These kind of things added in here and there on the marketplaces and stuff would be really cool.
I have quite
just to give you that bit of colour, which is really cool.
For Rome.
Yep, well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can do that too. Yeah.
Don't worry, I'd paint those bits, Lloyd, once you've got the rest of it.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. The other thing that's really nice about this as well is that, obviously a lot of the time when you're building stuff for the tabletop, you're either painting soldiers, or you're painting terrain, or you're building terrain, for example, or you're building miniatures, etc. This gives you something a little bit different to do, and it allows you to try and test your skills on something else within the hobby. So like painting something as relaxing as doing the books and that kind of thing, because they could be really simple or they could be very detailed if you wanted to go in and try and do the calligraphy and that kind of thing as well. So yeah, they're just really fun little bits and pieces for helping tell a story on the tabletop, which I like. So.
What's your love of Boros and Badgers though, Ben, and this stuff here? Maybe you should just try collecting Sylvanian families. That might be right up your street.
I basically played the murder version of Sylvanian families. So
little creatures with little shops and books and everything. Brilliant.
I would buy all of that stuff, put it on the tabletop. Yeah.
Ben, my little girl collects Sylvanian families, so I'll talk to her and see if she's willing to part with it. All right, and we'll get a big box of that sent over to you because it's just too cute, man.
Yeah.
I'm looking up here and I see this beautiful little tree house with
wait until you find the stuff on the internet for Sylvanian families doing rude things, like swearing at each other and coming up with interesting things to say about their neighbors as well. It's very good.
There we go.
I think Cromlech should just make the stuff for Sylvanian families. It'd sell 10 times as much.
They probably
do.
Yeah, you see, for the doll's house market is enormous. Because there's more places that sell dolls' houses than there is that sell war games. And it's there's a lot of collectors out there. So yeah, I think Cromlech should look at that as well.
Right.
I want to see some frogmen.
One last bit, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a cool little bit of news that I know Lloyd has been quite happy.
I did. I spied these earlier, and I thought they were totally class.
Oh, for God's
Totally.
Totally.
So anyone who remembers the retro game Battletoads? Anyone? Yeah. Well, the guys at Hardcore Miniatures have done their own version of them, but they've made them grimdark and necromunderified for you to use on the tabletop.
Look at the shades.
Sweet shades.
We've looked at Hardcore Miniatures before because they've done loads of really awesome stuff. Loads and loads of really cool orcs. I believe they've also done like the sort of not Predator crew or the not Expendables and that kind of thing as well, which is really good. And obviously with this one, they've got that that traditional high quality resin that they always tend to use, and they've put it to good use on these really badass looking Battletoads frogmen for you to use in your games. Throw these in with the mix of like a Goliath gang or something in a game of Necromunda, and we'll add a little bit of spice into it, which is pretty cool. So
Perfect orc army in the making there, wouldn't it?
You can see how big they are as well further down with one of the scale things comparatively as well. There you go. So that's how they measure up against Space Marines and
right. So that's how they measure up against a Primaris.
Yes.
That's what an orc should look like against a Primaris.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
So Games Workshop, this is easy. Buy Hardcore Miniatures, change orcs into frogs. Sorted.
They're not pigs anymore. They're frogs. Yeah.
They were never pigs. They're mushrooms.
No. I mean the traditional view of D&D orcs was that kind of pig orc, wasn't it? But
right.
Yeah.
Well,
like a Gomorian guard.
Yes.
Well, to me, they've always been, since I learned as a little boy about the orc birds and the bees, and I realized that there were no birds and there were no bees. All there was
just fungi.
Spores, and just spores emanating. And
you know what? I'm totally with you. I still call orcs space orcs. They cut the space off many moons ago, but I still call them space orcs.
Sporks.
Sporks. Yeah. I love me some mushrooms. So yeah, frogmen, go pick them up. Right, Jerry, you're going to sit down now and have a bit of a chat with is it Tim from Footsore North America?
Yep, Tim Spikowski from Footsore US.
Did you win one of our prizes? Find out on our prize claim center over at OnTableTop.com. Here we list all our previous prizes and those who have won. If you see your username, fill out the form to claim your prize. All prizes must be claimed within 30 days. Congratulations if you're a winner!
Hello, folks. Today I'm joined by Tim Spikowski from Footsore Miniatures USA. And Tim's with us to have a chat about what Footsore are doing in North America, and also a bit about him and the other sort of things that Footsore North America provide. So, Tim, it's fantastic to have you sitting down with us.
Well, thank you. I'm very excited. I thank you for the opportunity. I think this is really neat.
So I think first things first, people have heard obviously of Footsore and where they start out in the UK, but tell us a bit about yourself. Where have you come? Where's the North American sort of branch expanded from?
Well, when I first started into the business, I had a company called, the company is Special Artisan Service Miniatures. That was the brand that I was selling a first modern Kickstarter range that I did. And I was selling it under a store called King's Hobbies and Games. That was my venue into, or my beginning into the gaming business. I've been gaming since I was 4. My dad got me into gaming and painting miniatures, and I will be 47 in August, so I've been doing this for some time. It's the hobby itself, gaming is my passion. That's all I do. If you ask my wife or my good friends, that's all I do. So, and the whole idea behind me now really is with making miniatures and with Footsore is to give the opportunity in give the way that people can actually play and have fun and bring happiness, and inspire them and inspire the newer generation of gamers. That's it. That's it for me. Just to have fun.
Hook them while they're young, I think is the phrase.
That's right. Just plant those seeds. I was very fortunate when I was about 15, a gaming store had moved within walking distance of my mom's. And I met an amazing group of men and guys that we've just been gaming with, and I'm still gaming with them. So I am now of the age that they were when I first met them. So I understand the importance of being good mentors and good, good leaders of examples and stuff like that. So I could just imagine I drove them crazy with all my questions for painting, but it's important. And it's something that I think is very important so that we can continue to give that to the hobby itself. But then so going Footsore, fast forward, I wanted to expand the modern range. And over the years, I've been in the business selling moderns for about 4.5, 5 years. And I thought that it would be good to partner with someone. And Andy Hobday and Mark Farr, who are 2 fantastic gentlemen, got my attention. And we started speaking. And I can't say enough of those 2. And we had the idea. I says, well, right, I have this casting company here. I can produce your miniatures here, Footsore Miniatures out of St. Louis and service North America. And I have this modern range, and they were interested in the modern range. And now the rest is history. So they are soon to launch the modern range. I know that they are working diligently. A lot of people ask, we get questions every day, several questions. I can tell you the range, the first wave is with a painter right now. So they're painting. So as I'm being told, to do a proper launch. So very, very exciting. So, yeah.
So this is the Footsore North America, and these are some of the things that you can find on it. And when you say that SASM, the moderns, is an extensive range, you're really not kidding there. And I can see why this marrying up of Footsore's UK branch, which up until now has more or less, I think the cutoff point has been interwar, so 1920s, but mostly far back into the best of time, 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago. It's all ancients, it's all historical. Having moderns or ultra moderns in there is a really nice melding as well, because it instead of having to build up a range from scratch, which a lot of companies try to do and then fall by the wayside, there's something for both sides of the Atlantic there to actually bring something new to a new audience as well. And just looking down the list, there are some sensational sculpts and packs in there. I particularly like the fact that the British get the SBS, simply because I think pretty much any time anybody thinks of special forces with the UK, they think of the SAS.
Yeah, well, that the British military has always been near and dear to my heart, and I've always loved that. And so that's why we do a lot of the ranges from the British, because that's where my passion is, really. I spent a lot of time over in London. I worked there for a while, and on my weekends off, I'd spend at a place called the Borers of Aldershot, which was about maybe 30-40 minute train ride from London.
Yeah.
And I would spend days there, and then I would walk up, or they drive me up to the Airborne Museum, and then not to mention the Imperial War Museum and the National Army Museum. So, I mean, I feel more at home in London and England than I do here in the United States. So yes, the SBS was very near and dear. I was very lucky to be able to go down to Portsmouth and go to the Royal Marine Museum down there.
Oh, fantastic.
I mean, what can I say? I get goosebumps just thinking about it right now. So that's why there's a lot of British stuff, and there's even more coming out. Not to say that I also don't like the U.S. I spent some time in 04 and 05 over in Iraq working for contracting companies, and so I've got that experience. And, so it's all melds together. And my really close mate, his name's Glenn Kapheim. He is here in the States, and he still is in a contracting company, so he's pretty connected. So we have a vast knowledge and experience of what we're trying to produce, all with the idea of bringing it to our table so we can play with really fun toys.
Yeah. Obviously, at the moment, it's a comprehensive miniatures range. Do you have any plans for a rule set to go with them of your own, or is there a set that you favor?
Well, I'm asked that question a lot too.
I imagine you would be. Yeah.
So as far as rules that I favor, I did a lot of work for Force on Force.
Right.
And I did a lot. You can see a lot of the stuff that I did in the Force on Force supplements, like the Fallujah book, Black Hawk Down book, or Day of the Rangers book, and stuff like that. So for the longest time, I was playing Force on Force, which is still a great game. Then I wanted to play with bolt action players who were into World War II but not into modern. So I started playing the free version of modern bolt action, which is fine. It's great.
Yeah.
Then I recently really took up with the rule set Fistful of Lead by Jay Wiley, and I sell those as well. They're really fun set of rules. But I can tell you, we definitely have our own on the horizon for Footsore.
That'll be interesting to see. I know, obviously, recently on one of our Weekender shows, we jumped in and seen the new US vehicle.
The MRAP Cougar?
MRAP, yes, the Cougar. And I think at the time, Ben seen it and thought, oh, that actually looks, it looks very big. Perhaps they're not as big in real life. And then I pointed out a video where a couple of guys are driving through, I think it was somewhere in Michigan, and the sheriff's department have one, and they barely come up to the tires. And if anything, it may be just, it's about the right scale or slightly under. It's not like it's been expanded to make it. So it's nice to see the big vehicles coming as well. As far as Fistful of Lead goes, this is an interesting one because it's something I only stumbled across recently myself, and it's a fairly old rule set, and I don't mean that it's an ancient rule set. It's a couple of decades old now, and really has a terrific support behind it, because it has played out so well over the last 20 years. And it's strange that for being an old rule set, it seems to have an awful lot of modern thought behind it. So rule sets that are coming to the tables now that are being published within the past few years have an awful lot of very similar style of thought that go into them, that this game actually has 20 years previous as well.
It
And
does.
the fact that it has multiple versions, so you can do the classic Fistful of Lead is the Western, but also they have sci-fi and French Indian War, musket fire, that sort of thing.
I mean, they're great for pulp gaming. I mean, when I play Star Wars, I use Galactic Heroes because personally, and maybe it's my age,
Yeah.
I am not I'm trying to build my army with all these points and get all the advantages that I can and cards. I just want to move figures and roll dice.
Just push things around the table and then make pew-pew noises.
Yes, exactly. That's what I do, because as I tell my daughters, everything sounds better when you make noise when you're doing things. So
it helps the dice rolls.
It does. Well, I tell you, when I'm rolling dice, it's more of the dark side. That's Darth Vader sound. I have my days, and then by God, it's good that I don't gamble. I'd lose a lot of money.
I feel your pain. I'm right there as well. It's funny you mentioned the Kingston hobbies. It wasn't until I was having a look around to see what you do that is slightly different from the UK site that I came across the painting pyramid range from James Wapple. And that, I think, if people haven't seen it before, those are a fantastic set of instructional videos. Some people may know him from he is the Wappalicious blog.
Yeah.
I think it's memory serves. And he has a Twitch stream as well, but these are actual specific painting guides that he's done that you can buy direct from yourself.
Yeah. So James, what can I say? He's a master, and I have learned so much from him, from his videos. He has a Patreon page, and I am a Patreon supporter at I think $15 or $20 level or something per month. One of the biggest things that I learned from watching James' videos is I threw out all the rules that I had placed on myself for painting. And the fear of trying with mixing colors, and just, it's like, wow, it's just the freedom. And also you really learn the process and to trust the process of painting, because when you might be in the middle of a process, and James refers to it as when we were younger, we had to eat our broccoli first before we could have our dessert.
Yes.
And I'm sure everyone has been in this position when you're painting a figure, it just doesn't look right, and you're like, oh, I'm not happy with it. But you know that this is middle stages, and then there's a point of which, if you follow the process and you trust your tools, your paints, your brushes, and you know what they'll do, you'll have a fantastic figure. So I highly recommend watching those videos. I highly recommend support James. I mean, that's what he does full time. There are not a lot of people in this world that can paint miniatures full time.
Yeah, and it's not even just the painting side, because I was trying to find out how to do object source lighting and lava, and then came across something he had done on one of his blogs, and then from that discovered that I could actually get the tutorial from yourself.
Right.
And it's the way he has the painting set up and the instructions behind it is very clear and very easy to follow. Sometimes you get people who are sensational painters, but they have difficulty in passing that experience and knowledge on, whereas James is, I think, fantastic for it. And definitely, if anybody, people may know who James is without actually knowing who James is, because he's started doing stuff for the likes of Mantic with Hellboy and a few other companies where he's been painting some of essentially the studio paint jobs for them. So people have probably seen a lot of his stuff out there. And this is another, I think, fantastic facet, that it's not just a miniatures company that you're running over there. It's this cohesive, how do I get the best gaming experience out there to somebody else, and whether that's a set of rules that you really enjoy, like Fistful of Lead, is there, or whether it's getting the painting from James and getting that tutorial aspect across, as well as obviously the miniatures. It's almost like a one-stop shop.
I try. That's
Yeah.
that's really the idea, is to be a resource. There's most of the products I sell, especially a lot of the paints I use. I have personal experience with. There's some that I don't sell because I personally don't care for them, and I'm not going to mention names. It's just I just have personal experience with them. So I think that's important. I mean, I make videos when I paint figures for Footsore, and I say, hey, I am not a master. This is not the only way. This
Sure.
is just my way, and this is what works. And you touched upon something um, about James, is that he's a teacher, and he truly understands something so that he can actually teach it properly. And that's watching him and seeing what he does for the community. I try to do that as well, not just from painting, but for tips and miniatures. And I have a lot of people that come to me and ask about, hey, I'm trying to get into the business. How do I make this? And over the years, I've learned a lot of things, what to do for printing, 3D printing, and casting versus what not to do.
Well, I think I'm very much of the what not to do. In fact, 2 or 3 times over, I'll be a what not to do before we finally get around and find out the actual way to do it. You've recently moved into colonials as well with a lovingly entitled Tim starter with the Rangers.
Yeah.
Do you have plans to expand beyond those, I assume? Or?
Yes. So it's so funny. I swear that there's elves or fairies in my house here, because the French Indian War is a very interesting period, and I got that first set of range sculpted just as a test to see, and then I became inundated with people asking me about them. So my buddy Glenn and I are working on an extensive range, but then all these Kickstarters showed up, and the market got flooded. So well, let's just kind of wait, and let's just go slow and do what we want to do, what's most important to us, and then offer that. So yes, I can tell you that there is a lot of stuff going on in the background right now with that range.
It's one of those, it's like Hollywood studios releasing a big disaster movie or tentpole movie.
Right.
One will do it, and then all of a sudden 2 or 3 more will appear at exactly the same time, and it just seems to be the zeitgeist just seems to flow towards something, and what was a range that may have suffered from a lack of investment, all of a sudden everybody seems to be very keen on it at any given time. So it's interesting that these things sort of pan out, but it'd be nice to see certainly the models I've seen for the Rangers look fantastic. And you can always shift them across if you don't want them to be Roberts. They can be the Queen Charlotte's Rangers for the
fully so
Revolutionary War then afterwards.
Yes, right. That's that was kind of the idea behind that as well. Because you get in that period, you get a lot of figures. It's like, well, hey, can I use these for American Ref? Yes, you sure can. Why not? Why not? So
yeah.
But by that comment that I made about the other people's kicks, that's by all means. I'm not saying that they stole mine.
No.
It's just I blame it on group consciousness. It's just out there.
That's right. There's never any sort of stealing. It just seems that things always seem to channel towards it, and it's and with lead up times with design and sculptors and that sort of thing, that it's not like you can even turn around and say, oh, that's coming out in 2 weeks on Kickstarter, or they're about to launch on Kickstarter. Quickly, we need to get a range done. It's generally months, if not years in advance, just to get to that position. It's been fascinating having a chat with you, Tim. Is there any big news that you want to share with us?
One thing we didn't talk about is I am also the North American distributor for Geek Gaming product, Luke's APS Geek Gaming products. I can tell you, I am extremely busy with packing orders for those. They're a fantastic. Well, first of all, Luke Fellows is another amazing guy.
Yeah.
Who is truly, there's many times he's just there to help me with questions, or just, recently I was looking for getting a new camera, and he just spent an hour with me just to, tell me which to get and stuff like that. So yes, I am the U.S. distributor for Luke's, APS Geek Gaming products.
Sure.
that's pretty important as well. And that goes back to the whole thing of selling paints, painting guides, good terrain products,
Sure.
for the whole package.
That's it's a fairly comprehensive range as well, from the quick sort of ready mixes that you just put down if you're looking to go for speed, or if you want to spend a bit more time with the toughs and that sort of thing. There's a comprehensive range there that sort of suits any style of gamer, whether they just want to get the stuff done quickly and onto the table, or if they want to spend some time making everything an individual or specific sort of niche little base, then they've got all of that sitting there for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're great. And then it starts from the glue all the way, starting from the glue.
Oh yeah.
all the way up. So it's very, very, very popular items. So, but yeah, that goes all with the whole package, with being able to offer Footsore miniatures here for North America, from Mortal Gods to now to Syria and Iraq, modern Syria,
to the moderns. Yeah.
All right, not to mention
just stay in the same geographic location, but push forward 3,000 years.
That's right. Yeah. Yep. Just different weapons and uniforms. And we just recently got done with the Barons War. With Andy Habde and Paul
Hicks. Yeah.
Barons War figures, and they're beautiful figures. So
yeah, they do their best to empty my wallet on a regular basis. That's it. There's more than a few Footsore boxes behind me and around me. These are the things we do for the companies that we love and the games we enjoy. If you build it, they will come, I think is the phrase. And certainly from the looks of Footsore North America, you've built something that's very comprehensive, very accessible. So hopefully it will draw more people into the hobby, and once they arrive, keep them in there, and maybe even interest them into areas they weren't expecting. So people may come to North America for the moderns that you're famous for, or for the Dark Age, and then migrate across, or vice versa. And you never quite know where our hobby is going to take you. So certainly the games I started with 30 odd years ago, some have gone away, some are still going strong, but it's become a many branching thing since then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. And it's funny when a lot of times when I'm packing orders, I'll see people buy several packs of modern and then one or two Vikings.
Something thrown in, yeah.
That's big. Okay.
That I'm curious now. Tell me more about these Dark Age Rusts you tell. No, okay, right then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's been fantastic talking to you, Tim.
Well, thank you.
If people have any questions about the moderns range or the other historic Footsore ranges or that sort of thing, drop them in the comments below, folks, and we'll try and get Andy or Tim or someone to find an answer for you. Until then, we're going to move on. Take care.
It's Kickstarters and 3D printing is the shit, all in one. Because our first Kickstarter, we actually have a 3D model giveaway, as we'd said at the start of the show. Fat Dragon have a 3D printing Kickstarter up and running. And the cool thing about this Kickstarter, I'll let you guys talk about it in a second, but the cool thing about this Kickstarter is it has been designed from the outset for you to very simply add your own LED lighting to it. So they've created a method, a very simple method where you just bend a couple of wires and stick a battery in, and you get to light it all. And I just want to put out there, so we have a free exclusive sample model for you guys. It's called the Fire Brazier, an exclusive one to us. So the link is in the show notes. So go and download that now for free. Well, and you can give it a go.
Let's get a look at the Kickstarter.
Yeah, Ben,
we'll have a look at that.
Back to you to wax lyrical about the Kickstarter, and I shall nod approvingly.
Okay, so the Kickstarter is called Valus Mortis, and just to sort of give you the background to this, it's all based on the world designed by Tom Tullis for his role-playing games.
Mm.
So Dragonshire, which is the main sort of focus of this first project, is one of the towns within the realm of Valis Mortis, which is a sort of like dark fantasy style realm that he's put together. The actual options as part of the main Kickstarter sort of push for this are a set of city streets, buildings, walls, characters, and that kind of thing.
There it is. There's the sort of model we're giving away.
Yes.
It's a variation of that or something. I have
It
some
is,
pictures
yes.
of it here as well,
Yeah.
so you can see what
Yeah,
it's
so
like.
this is, we've done our own internal test print on this one. So these are the components. That there you actually see the little custom battery compartment. And there'll be a little video we'll link to in a moment, which shows you how you basically put your LED in and then just bend the legs of the LED and then just slide a battery in. Man, it's super elegant what he has come up with.
Pop it into that, pop that into that, and pop this over the hole, and then pop that over that.
Yeah,
Something like that. Yeah.
Bish, bash, bosh. Yeah.
bish, bash, bosh.
The only thing you'd obviously have to do is print the flame in a translucent material or
Not
something
necessarily.
okay.
I got Justin to print this in the white resin.
Like that.
Okay, because white is still opaque. Yes, it is opaque,
Right.
but it will still it'll transfer. It'll allow the light to go through it.
You'll still get a bit of a
also
flicker to it.
diffuse the light as well, which should give you a nice even light that's come out. So whenever
cool.
we were printing this one, I said to Justin, "Try the white resin, man."
Fair enough.
That
yeah.
one, but you could print it in transparent, but. It's up to you.
But so yeah, as you can see in some of these painted examples of the finished terrain pieces, you've got some really nice bits and bobs that they've put together for this, as well as some things that are slightly more focused towards the sort of theme of Valis Mortis. So if you just want to have sort of like a generic sort of fantasy historic style town, they've got all the options for that. The way that it works is that you can sort of pledge for different bundles that come with either the sort of house bits, roofs, streets, and that kind of thing, or then get it all together, and then you can print it all off, and it all slots together using the Dragon Lock system. So this is a system that they've used in the past that basically allows you to modularly build your terrain on the tabletop. So say, for example, you want to have something and then not make it permanent, you can kind of do it that way. So you can sort of mix and match the way that you build your buildings different and stuff like that if you want to as well, which is very cool. And of course, as you can see here, you can also light the interiors of these buildings and have it so that they're sort of flickering as if houses are sort of, the people in the village are going about their business as strange things happen on the streets and that kind of thing, which is very cool.
Did you know that it's absolutely compulsory that whenever you're making this project, you have to listen on repeat to Iron Maiden Back in the Village?
A lot of sense. Yeah.
I mean, that is now written into the text at the bottom of the Kickstarter.
Right, you're coming up to a video now, right?
Yes, so this shows how to do it, yeah.
This one
Press
here.
play on that, yes. And I can quickly show you. So if you
we got an advert.
the windmills. Okay, so scrub through a little bit.
There's Two-Eyed Willie.
Oh, Lordy, I love you, man.
That's him.
Okay, so this is them lit. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you just keep going. Right here, there. Do this, right? So there you can see that little component. You 3D print the component as well. Okay.
Yeah.
You get LED. Okay, and he tells you which LEDs you can order to do this, because you get specific little LEDs that have a flicker basically built into the circuitry of it.
Sweet.
Bend one leg.
Yeah.
Bend the other leg. Okay. You then pop that VC onto there. A little dab of glue will hold that in place. Okay. Then you fold that leg in and you fold that leg over and around.
Yeah.
Like so.
I like the wee slots. That's cool.
Yeah. You can give that a wee clip just to clip off some of the excess.
There's a spear. Thank you very much.
Just put that in there.
Oh, I see how this works. And that just gives you the two connectors.
That gives
when
you
put
your
the
two
battery
poles.
between it. Ah.
Yeah. You bend that around.
Well, that's sweet and easy.
Isn't it? No soldering, no flapping around.
That's really cool.
Isn't that a lovely, elegant solution? And then whenever you got it, then you just pop a battery in and bang,
Oh, it's cheap as chips. Awesome.
isn't it? And then when you're ready, you
Gun
can just
stores.
slip the battery.
That's a
out.
really cool way of doing that.
Isn't that lovely? I was so look.
Oh. So
Isn't that
sweet.
just awesome?
Oh, the table has one. Oh,
Yeah. It's so slimline, Lloyd.
Oh my goodness.
You can fit it into to almost anything.
This is even better than Sylvanian families.
So how cool is that?
That's
Isn't
very
it?
cool. Yeah.
So yeah, there. That's my bit done. I'll go back to Nottingham.
So yeah, as you can see, obviously you've got the different street sections, all that kind of stuff, and you've got the drag and lock system, which you can see built into the side of it. So it all just uses their little plugs in order to sort of build it up the way that you want to, and that kind of thing. So it's really nice and modular and allows you to play around with lots of different designs, change the street ups and that kind of thing if you don't want to dive in and play something that looks the same all the time and that kind of stuff.
The sloped bits and stuff's a cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool, yeah, because how towns are never all on one level and that kind of stuff. So
Oh, and I like this. So you can modularly raise the stuff without having to print lots of different versions. So you just print the riser and then you pop whatever bits on top. That's cool.
Yep. Yeah. The other sort of cool stuff that they've done for this, obviously, I said that it is kind of based around the idea that Tom Tullis had for his role-playing campaign.
Yeah.
Well, this campaign and subsequent campaigns after this are all going to be about building on this specific world and adding bits to it. So the sort of focus for this particular campaign was on Dragonshire. There are a few different bits and pieces that they included in the stretch goals, which we'll see later on down the page. But beyond that, they're going to look at some of the other iconic locations that are mentioned on the map as well. So if you want to go and explore those, they're going to be delving into them in more detail in future Kickstarter campaigns. The other cool thing about this as well is that this is all based around a role-playing campaign. And so included for people who pledge for this, you'll actually get a source book which will detail the world itself. So you can use it in all your campaigns. And here it is, which is, there you go. And the artwork was also done by a very famous D&D artist as well.
I was just about to compliment on the artwork. Look at that. That's sweet. It's got that old school coolness.
That is our childhood staring back at us right there.
Oh, I've even got a map. Well, we'll have to burn the edges.
Love you, Tom. This is amazing. This is just pulls all the right strings on my heart, man, looking at this.
And also, as you can see, as I was talking about earlier, Dragonlock is a system they've been using for quite a while for a lot of their 3D printed stuff. And so you can go back and pick up a lot of these miniatures and also their terrain pieces as well and use them in your games. I will also point out, obviously, everything here is STL files.
Yes.
So you don't get anything physically, but you get all of the files and everything you need in order to print these off at home. They do go into detail further up on the Kickstarter page about the 3D printers that we use to print the particular options from this. And they also talk through some of the options for starting out in 3D printing as well. So if you are interested in potentially starting, then there's some sort of guidelines there. But of course, maybe you'll be able to find a friend who'll be able to do this for you as well, because 3D printing is becoming much more of a thing within the industry and the hobby in general, really.
Yeah,
so,
it certainly is. I'll be talking more about the possibilities that 3D printing unlock on Sunday's XLBS show. I've got some cool stories to tell you about some 3D printing things that I did and ran into this week. But Tom, putting a call out to you, mate. I'm interested in what is the possibilities of this lighting system being downscaled to 15 mil.
Have you seen the size of the LED?
Right.
You need to find one of them super small ones.
All of this stuff I'm looking at, right? All of this terrain, everything that's here, I'm looking at and going, yeah, it would. Has something just exploded in your house?
That's my very noisy neighbour leaving the house.
All right, okay.
It's okay.
That didn't even come from your house.
Nope.
Wow.
So I'm looking at all of this, and the reason, right, I enjoy 15 mil, especially now that I 3D print. And the reason being is you can print so much more of it so much quicker.
True, yeah. That's true.
Okay, because for people like me that don't have an awful lot of patience, 15 mil is wonderful from that perspective on the 3D printer, because you can actually fit a lot of it onto your build plate, whether that be an SLA or on your FDM printers. Okay, you can. It's almost twice as much. Okay, which when you're doing terrain counts for a lot, Ben, because terrain, you're looking at long print times. So if you can do long print times and get full
Much
building
more out of it,
every time rather than partials of a building, it makes a lot of sense. Now, so all of that will work. All of that should be able to downscale by 57% or so. But what I want to put to Tom, and we could also ask some of our community members like Blinky. Blinky might know this. Can we do a conversion of the LED bit to take a battery, okay, a smaller battery and a smaller LED, because LEDs go down to like mils, like tiny little things. Okay, can we do a version that would be compatible with 15 mil? Because that would be amazing, and I'm convinced that people need to do their D&D and their role playing in 15 mil. I'm on a crusade. I'm on 2 crusades, Ben. I'm on a crusade for everybody to look at 15 mil because it's awesome.
Maybe
my second crusade has been inspired by the poor Duncan Rhodes getting a load of shite on his Twitter because he wanted to paint a metal model, and everybody's going, no metal. I'm on a crusade to get everybody to love the metal. I can't even believe it. I'm in 2020 and I have to convince people to love the metal. I thought by this stage we would all know that it's...
Well, you see, now, if you want to go on crusade about the metal,
yes,
I could probably join you on that crusade in Jerry, and that'd be 3 people, which is enough to go on crusade.
That is enough to
But
go on a crusade.
Have you got
It's
3
3.
members to go on crusade for the 15 mil stuff? Because I think it might just be you and Jerry at the minute.
Go on, Lloyd. Join them. I'll get one. The problem is, there's a couple of Egypts out there that might join the crusade, which would get us up to the official crusade numbers
of 3.
But the problem is that they're 6 mil guys, so it'll take as much convincing to get them to come up as it would to get you to come
there
down.
at 10.
I've painted 10 mil fellowship miniatures, so you know. I've gone smaller.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have the numbers for an official crusade on the metals. I'm working on the numbers for the official crusade on the 15 mil, but it is going to happen. All of you
over at crusade.org rather than change.org.
So yeah, 15 mil electronics. Tom, meeting of minds. Let's see if it's possible, and we'll get the Blinky on this one as well, because Blinky, when it comes to electronics, he just solves shit. He just does it. He just knows it. So
yeah. So let's see where they are. They're funded.
Yep.
Oh yes, 27. Well, actually, by the time you're watching this,
yeah.
there's 26 days to go.
Yeah. And we have a free version of e-model that they can come over and get off where the store.
Yes, and the link is in the show notes. The link is in the show notes. And while you're there, I believe, we can double check, but I believe we still have all the other free 3D models up there as well. So if you're sneaky and you get in quick, you can download the whole lot.
Oh, sweet.
So you get a bunch of them. Right. What's next, Ben?
Funky.
Well, next up, I'm actually going to turn over to Jerry for a little trip into Nostalgia Town with the Dreamstone.
Take me to Nostalgia Town. So the Dreamstone celebrates its 30th anniversary of the cartoon this September.
Yeah.
And Jeff from Oakbound Studio, who's a fan of it, decided to sculpt a couple of models and then sent them off apropos of nothing to the producer of the TV show, and they went, "Oh, that's lovely. Oh, you know, it's our 30th anniversary." And there was a bit of back and forth. I was like, "Yeah, we'll let you do. Do you want to do official miniature? You can do official miniatures." So
lovely.
So this has spawned I'm calling it a triptych of levels. it's not just the miniatures, because you can just get the miniatures, but also he's doing a board game and he's also doing an RPG as well. So if you're not aware of Dreamstone as a cartoon, it was set on a planet and it's split more or less north and south with a big cloud round the middle. And in the north are the Noops and the Watts and the Wattles, and they're all lovely people. And every night the dream maker makes dreams from the finest ingredients and gives everybody lovely good night dreams.
Who's the dream maker? Is it this dude?
He's the guy. He's the floating guy on the far right there. He floats because it saves wear and tear on your feet. You don't get as tired, so he just floats everywhere. It's easier. However, there is a dream maker who went rogue, who is now known as the Lord of Nightmares, Zordrak, and he lives in the south. And his idea is to steal the Dreamstone and then unleash his Argorables and nightmares upon the land in a fit of pique and revenge. And it was a nice, cutesy little cartoon, but it was a lot of fun because every week would just be about how his Erpneys there, Sergeant Blob, Fizz Nug, were attempting to use whatever wacky creations had been made by the only scientist of the Erpneys, Erpgore, on the right, with the shocking pink hair. And it'd be, how can we steal the Dreamstone so that we can, unleash the madness?
It's
And
cool. I'd
it was
forgotten.
just
I'd
so
forgotten
real.
all about this cartoon until you.
Do you remember this cartoon?
Yeah, but only now. If you'd said what it was, I'd be like, no. But now I see the stuff.
Whenever you hit Erpgore, and then you think, hang on a minute, didn't he just go when he was talking all the time? Oh, why do I hand over these creations? It was more or less that. But they were so much more fun, and that's where this comes in, because the RPG, for example, is like a standard RPG, a DM, and then like 1 to 5 players. But you don't play the dull, good people who have a lovely life. You play the Erpneys, and it's, can you steal the Dreamstone before things go horribly wrong? And
Nice.
Each scenario is just like a little one-off episode, essentially, from the
That's
TV,
cool.
TV show. It's like, go off and do something. And there was a darker edge to it, because Zordrak was quite happy just to butcher people left, right, and center. You had your 3 main Erpneys.
Which one's the Zordrak?
He's not there, because
He's not here.
in scale wise, there he
Is that
is.
him? Yeah.
Scale wise, he would be 5 foot tall to a 28 mil figure. And actually, Jeff has been asking, he's going, look, do I either make a smaller figure sitting on his throne if we get to that stretch goal,
And we just
or
pretend he's far away.
or do you want me to make just like a bust at closer to true scale? And you could just have the bust, because he's normally sitting on a throne and they would walk up a long like finger of stone at the edge of a pit to talk to him. And I'm going, do the bust. The bust looks amazing. But it's really nice to see, apart from the character from models, just the idea behind this, and going, well, I'm doing a little 2-player game where like one player for the board game size was just on hex maps. One player plays the Erpneys, another player plays the Noops as they attempt to stave off the people. And the whole idea is who can get the Dreamstone or defend the Dreamstone, or the RPG, or you can just go for the miniatures. And for people who may not be gamers, who may just be going, Dreamstone, I remember that from my childhood. They're even though the models are all resin, they're all going to be pre-assembled, so that's sort of factored in. And if you're not a
big guy,
he is a big guy, and that's probably him just about to drop somebody into a pit full of Frasnets and watch him die, because he would quite happily just kill off Erpneys left, right, and center once he was done with them. It's just like, yeah, done with you, bam, dead. But yeah, so there's like a painting level as well. So it's just a really nice little nostalgia trip. So after seeing this, apart from backing it for everything, I went off and just had a wee hook, because I was telling people, and they're going, I have no idea what you're talking about. Going, Dreamstone, kids, TV, 30 years ago. No. And I Googled it and discovered that the producers and the like, it was made for ITV, I think. But they've put up every episode, so 50 odd episodes in their entirety on YouTube. They're all sitting there. So if, for example, Warren, if your kids get bored at some point, you can put it. The pilot essentially is like a 50-minute long one, and they've put it up as the 2 parts it was originally shown in, but they've also put up just the 2 parts combined. So just there's an hour-long little show, and
sold. Right.
Send off the kids to watch the Dreamstone.
Can we get that link into the show notes for everybody? So that
it's in the there's a news article on the site.
Here's the channel. So I just went off and Googled it there. Look, the Dreamstone. Is this it?
that is it indeed. So
And
there
all
are
50
little
episodes are in there.
all the episodes. There's playlists, and each playlist is a season. Which is
Very
incredible.
cool.
So yeah, so if you've never come across them before, personally, I'm looking forward to hitting about
Set
2,000.
there, Lloyd, do you see what they're uploaded as? Are they uploaded as 480p or what are they?
They are as good as they can be, which I
Yeah,
think is
yeah.
only 480.
Uh-huh.
They still look pretty good in that quality.
yeah.
don't they?
Mhm.
So, yeah.
They've been remastered. Wattles.
Oh my god, I remember this now.
Yeah,
Do
exactly.
you remember? I have no recollection of this, but the fact that this, your man has completely lucked out. The fact that the entire backlog of the cartoon is all there for us all to watch.
It's all
Yeah.
there. It's a bizarre little show. There was even though it was a kid show, the first time you're watching it, if you're a kid the right age to be watching it, you're probably reaching for a dictionary or turning to your parent and going, what does that word mean? Because in no way did they dumb down any of the writing. The writing was, it's very good. And there was, like I say, there was that sort of darker edge. He was just the best character ever. Or Gore. It's like, why must I give my creations to idiots?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's just a delight. And if people haven't seen it before, and maybe they've got younger,
little ones,
kids kicking around, it's a good, it'd be an interesting thing to introduce them, see if they like it, because even the board game, which is a hex-based game that he's working on, everybody has a stat, and the stat is then defined by a little colored symbol on the card. So a red triangle means you roll a d4, a blue square is a d6, and so on, and the dice are set so you don't do modifiers, you just need a 4 up to succeed. So for kids, you're going, well, it's hex-based, count the hexes and count the direction of the hex to work out whether or not you're in range for abilities, and then just what do you need to roll? Need to roll the red triangular one, smashing. Did you get a 4? No, then you failed. Did you get a 4 on the d10? Yes, then you've succeeded. It's a very simple system, and then any of the detail he wants to put in for adult gamers, essentially for people who aren't just kids, is in the cards. So there's additional abilities and bits and bobs going there. But I just think there's a set of the cards there. So I think it's just a really nice little point in time that everything just seems to be lining up for the 30th anniversary. So come
Happy
September when it
days.
lands, I should be getting a ton of stuff. The RPG, I think, is about 100 pages long with a very small rule set, like 20 or 30 pages, and then like the rest of it is all maps and artwork and story. The background of this world. So delightful.
Right, guys, that is us. Remember, Sunday morning, come over, join us for XLBS. There's a 30-day free trial, so you can come and join us and smooch with us for like 30 days. And then by that stage, we'll have you hooked and you'll stay for life. Remember, we've got the competitions going, so you could win the Indomitus box by posting a comment, hitting like, sharing the video, being a subscriber. And remember, we're getting up close to that 95,000 mark where we're going to be giving away the first of the Katakan kernel models that we have sitting ready to bestow upon you folk. Other than that, remember that 3D model. Thank you to all of the guys. Enjoy the next 2 weeks, fellas, because I won't be talking all over you and meandering the show into stupid directions left, right, and center. And yeah, thank you for watching. Have a great week. Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.